Things as a writer, producer, star, kumquat, ashtray, shoehorn, many things. Would you welcome Mr. Mel Brooks? Well, here we are.
Wow.
Just like yesterday.
I was the last guest.
Were you?
On that show, and I'm the first guest on it. I've moved forward. I've moved ahead.
5 spots up the couch.
Yes.
Do you remember the first show at all? Some of it's just kind of a haze to me.
I remember the
Groucho, you know, did the first 15 minutes that night.
Yes, yes. I remember Joan Crawford came on with a wire hanger. I don't know why. But anyway, no. It was a... I'm only kidding.
Of course you are. That's what you get paid for.
Yeah. Gee, this is really, it's very touching. It's very moving. It's very emotional. A week from now, somebody's going to be saying, "Where's Johnny?"
Anyway, give me those pictures. I'm going to show you this. Somebody dug these out today. I want to show you first. I'm going to show them to the audience. These are from the actual first show. Black and white pictures. All the Kinneys and the tapes of those early shows are gone, like the first 10 years. But yeah, that's true. The tapes are all gone. But here you are sitting at the desk with Joan Crawford. Look at the monitor. You can see it better. There is a younger Mel Brooks and a younger Johnny Carson and a live Joan Crawford. No, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it that way. Oh, hey, folks. Hey, I had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. I don't know what you were doing here. What the hell were you doing here?
I was probably doing my impression of Tony Bennett, who came on after me.
From the first show.
Look at our hair, got all white. What happened to us?
I don't know. What happened?
I don't know. I had a Danish and a cup of coffee, and I'm suddenly 65. What the hell happened to me?
Dorian Gray, right? The king lives. Why didn't you wait for me? Why didn't you wait for the king is dead? Long live the king.
I'm sorry. I think I got Ed's drink. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Hey, I was talking about a 2,000-year-old man.
The king lives. How did that used to go? Remember?
What do you mean? You were just taking a drink.
Yes.
And they say,
yes.
the king is dead. Long live the king. The king lives. The king lives. That was
The king is still alive.
That's
the king
right.
is still alive.
That's
Not
right.
yet. Oh, those were the good old days. I just had to get it straight. Just had to get it straight.
Okay. 2,000-year-old man. Do you ever do that anymore?
Yeah, at parties and things. By the way, Rhino Records loves it so much, they're going to reissue those things on CDs.
I remember going to parties when you and Carl... I remember the live parties when you and Carl would sit around and he would just start throwing anything like, what did you do for recreation when you were 2,000 years old?
I said golf. We played golf.
Played golf 2,000 years ago?
Many, many thousands of years ago was the matrix, the beginning of golf.
I didn't know that.
It started very naturally. A skunk would come by the mouth of your cave. You'd take a stick, you'd say, "Get the hell out of here." It would travel a while.
That's right.
You know? Go by somebody else. He'd say, "Get the hell out of here."
So there were no golf balls,
When it
of
fell in
course.
a hole, then everybody was happy.
That's
that
right.
was golf.
I see. It started that way.
Sure, that's how it was. I just made that up.
Did you have any children?
I had over 42,000
42,000 children?
Yes. And not one comes to visit me.
See, you do remember.
I do remember.
Oh, man. Where'd you grow up? New York?
I grew up in New York. I grew up in Williamsburg. Williamsburg is actually a section of Brooklyn, just where the Williamsburg Bridge enters Brooklyn. It's the only thing that's not afraid to enter Brooklyn. Anyway.
Was it a tough neighborhood?
Yeah, it was very tough. It was very tough. As a matter of fact, it was so tough. We used to go to the Woolworths to steal. Naturally, nobody had money.
Yeah.
You know? So we go to the Woolworths, and there was this guy, a little Filipino guy that was demonstrating yo-yos. And he'd say, "Now we going to walk the dog." And he'd do it, and he'd walk the yo-yos. And he'd say, "Now we're walking the dog back." And he'd walk the dog. While he was walking the dog, we were stealing yo-yos. You know? We were very busy. One day, unbeknownst to me, but known to the manager of the store, I copped a little toy pistol, this big little thing, and I put it in here. I started to go out the door, and he said, "Hey!" And I pulled out the gun. I said, "Get back, I'll blow your head off!" And he jumped back, and I ran away. I still got the gun. It was
You know, I actually stole something from Woolworths also when I was a kid. Most embarrassing, it was a little ring, you know, like one of, and I put it in, and the manager came over and said, "Would you give me the ring?" I said, "I didn't take anything." He says, "Let's go to your father's office." I live in a small town. He started to walk me over, and I did the first known case of plea bargaining, I think. Here. I said, I gave it to him at Pride, and he says, "All right, but isn't that awful?"
Oh, it's awful. I snuck into a movie house with my friend Benji, and they said to us, "Look, do you want a beating, or should we tell your mother?" I said, "Tell my mother." Benji said, "I'll take the beating." He was a fool, you know?
Did you, you used to work in the Catskills?
Oh, yeah,
Up in upstate New York, the mountains?
The Borscht Belt.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
A lot of the great comedians, comics started there.
It was a great phenomenon. I was a drummer.
I know.
On Saturday afternoons, Buddy Rich took an hour out of his life and would
sit down and
teach me how to play. And it happened because Mickey Rich was his brother, the alto, wonderful alto sax player. And Mickey was a friend of mine. I went to Lincoln High School, and I went back to the house, and there was this drum set, and I went boom, boom, boom. And at the door, I heard "Stinks." I turned around, there was Buddy. He said, "But I want you here at 11 o'clock every day." And he taught me for about 6 or 7 months. He took an hour out of his Saturdays, you know, when he wasn't on the road. He was the greatest guy.
Trouble with Buddy teaching, he never read music. And he would just say, "Here's the way you do. How do you do that?" "Well, you do it this way."
Right. He'd show you.
We couldn't tell you.
And then when he saw Blazing Saddles, I finally made it. You know, I made this remarkable hit, Blazing Saddles. It was a big hit. And I ran into Buddy at a favorite Italian restaurant we used to go to in New York, Patsy's.
Right.
And he came up to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, "Gee, it's such a big hit, and you could have been a good drummer, Mel."
That killed him, huh?
And he meant it. He meant
great.
it. But yeah.
Do we have to leave for a second? Oh, we'll interrupt for this. Well, we're coming back. Stay where you are, folks. Okay, we are back. Now, all right, I want you to tell. Now, you've told me. I know you've told us.
I love doing this show. I don't do it often, especially when I have nothing to sell.
Of course.
It's terrible. But you always, in the 40 years that I know you, you always listened. The other show hosts, whether it was Merv or Les, I mean, they never looked at you. They never listened. They were always very busy with, "Get the cotton candy later, brother," you know? They were always talking to somebody off camera. You always were a mensch, a gentleman.
Well, thank you.
I mean, really.
If I don't listen to you, I don't know what we're talking about. You gotta listen. Anyway, thank you. I know you've told the story before, the Cary Grant story.
I did that on the last show.
Who cares? Tell the Cary Grant story.
All right, but you know it. All right, folks, when I left the Sid Caesar show, well, not actually left, I was kind of fired, but sort of fired. Anyway, I came out to Hollywood to write a movie. I was at Universal Studios, working with a guy called Marvin Schwartz. I trusted him. Anyway, across the street, I saw there was another bungalow. We were working in a bungalow, and on the top of the bungalow it said Grant Art. I said, what does that mean? What the hell is Grant Art? He said, "Well, that's Cary Grant's company. Grant Art. I said, "Well, does Cary Grant ever come to that bungalow?" He said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Sure. You're kidding." He said, "No, he'll be here in about 10 minutes. He comes every day for lunch. He'll be here about 10 to 12. He shows up. It's about 11:45. But he'll be here." I said, "Cary Grant, I'm going to see him in person." "Yes, Cary Grant will be here." So I waited by the drapes. And sure enough, a guy in a double-breasted suit with a little yellow boutonniere walks down. He leaves this. The guy jumps up the steps 2 at a time, bounds through the door. I said, "It looked like Cary Grant." He said, "It was Cary Grant." I said, "Holy mackerel, Cary Grant. He's about 60 yards away from me. Cary Grant. I grew up in Brooklyn. Cary Grant." Oh, my God, I think I'm going to faint. He said, "Hey, we see him every day." I said, "But I don't." My, Cary Grant. Cary Grant. So anyway, I waited. He said, we'll be coming out to lunch soon. I said, he's coming out to lunch soon. You're going to see him. See, there, about 10 minutes later, he bounds down the steps. I said, oh, my God, it's Cary Grant, it's Cary Grant. So he said, come on, let's go to lunch. So we all walk down the path, and I somehow take another road, and I hear behind me, Man Brooks. I turn around, it's Cary Grant. I bought every single one of your albums. You've made me poor, blah. I said, oh, my God, he's talking to me. Cary Grant is actually talking to me. I said, Marvin, what should I do? He said, talk back to him. But all right. I said, hello, Cary Grant. I called him by one name, Cary Grant.
Cary Grant.
I figured that was his name.
Cary Grant.
I didn't know him well enough to call him Mr. Grant or Cary. I called him Cary Grant. I said, hiya, Cary Grant. You look good, Cary Grant. Are you really Cary Grant? He said, come on, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going into the lunchroom there. He said, oh, the commissary, yeah, come with me, Bart, I'll buy you lunch. Oh, my God, Cary Grant is going to buy me lunch. Oh, so I went in, and I sat next to him, and he had a hard-boiled egg. That's all he had. I don't know why. And I had a tuna fish sandwich on whole wheat with a slice of tomato. No mayo, hold the mayo. And I ate the sandwich, and then we left together, and he said, walking down the path, he said, what's your favorite color? I said, blue. He said, yellow. I said, yellow is yours, blue is mine. What's your favorite car? I said, a Buick. He said, a Rolls Royce. I said, that's nice. And we talked like that, you know. Me saying Buick, he saying Rolls Royce. It was a very interesting conversation. He went to Grand Art, I went to Schwartz. I thought that was it. The next day, about 11:45, we get a call. It's Mel Brooks there. Yes, it's Cary Grant. Would you like to go to lunch? Sure, Cary. All right. Holy mackerel, Cary Grant. All right, I comb my hair. I brush my teeth with my finger. Very nervous. Cary Grant, we go in again. He has a hard-boiled egg. All right, I don't say nothing. I have a corned beef sandwich with mustard on rye. Okay, one of the few out there that ate it that way. The rest had it with mayonnaise on white.
I'm here. Yeah. 1 minute.
So he says, what do you like to play? I said, well, I like to play football. I like to play baseball. He said, well, I like to play party games. Oh, that's interesting. Like Ghost. What is Ghost? You dress up? No, G, you get a G. H, you get an H, Ghost. Oh, fine. And we talked. Okay, interesting. He goes to Grand Art, I go to Schwartz, I'm back home. The next day at 11:45, ring, it's Cary. All right, I meet him outside. We go on a lunch together. Me and Cary Grant, Mel Brooks and Cary Grant, we're holding hands. We don't know what to do for each other. We don't know what to say to each other. Anyway, let me tell you the punchline. Comes Friday, the phone rings, it's Cary Grant. I said, I'm not in.
Enough already.
We didn't know what to say. I had nothing more to say to him. I said my favorite color. I said my favorite car.
I'm not in.
I mean, there was nothing more to talk about.
We'll be back.
We'd exhausted our